sure it's fresh on everyone's mind how much drama Aaron Rodgers has caused over the past few months and really over the past few years. But this trade, it was inevitable. This was really supposed to happen years ago. But finally, it has happened. Aaron Rodgers has found a place to chase another ring and the Packers are in rebuild mode. But why did this happen this year? Why couldn't this happen years ago? What went wrong for Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers? Let's take a trip down memory lane and go through the highs and lows for Rodgers and the Packers. In the 2005 NFL Draft, Rodgers was supposed to go number 1 overall. It could have been perfect. He was the best quarterback in the draft and he would be going to his hometown team. Instead, the 49ers picked Alex Smith. Rodgers fell all the way to pick 24, where the Packers would select him.
Green Bay Packers select Aaron Rodgers, quarterback from California.
For his first few years, he sat behind Brett Favre. When he took over in 2008, he was spectacular.
And we play football. Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, touchdown, Green Bay. Approaching the 2-minute warning here in Arlington, over the middle. Touchdown. Rodgers looking left, comes to his right, Jennings. Touchdown. Super Bowl 45. The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
In 2010, the Packers broke through for their first and only Super Bowl in the Rodgers era. People often overlook how incredible Rodgers was in this game versus the Steelers. This was an all-time great playoff performance from Aaron Rodgers. Over the next few years, Rodgers would continue to get even better, winning several MVPs and having some outstanding performances. Many people predicted that the Packers would win multiple rings over the next few years. But through the next decade, the Packers were extremely unfortunate.
Extra man on the blitz. Rodgers gets a hand to the face. The ball is out. The Arizona Cardinals win it. Here's Jacobs cutting back. Getting to the edge. Jacobs is in for the touchdown. Kaepernick keeps it. Fooled everybody. Colin Kaepernick. What a game. Touchdown. Wilson. Seattle's going to the Super Bowl. Jermaine Kearse. Gunn. Brown is the motion man. Little flip to Fitzgerald. He scores. Falcons pick it up, and there's Jones. Flag is down. Julio Jones with a catch. Still going. Still in bounds. Touchdown, Atlanta.
Playoff loss after playoff loss. Buzz started to rise around Rodgers leaving the Packers. In 2018, the Packers had one of their worst years under Rodgers. Many lost faith in him and predicted his downfall. But the very next year, he came back strong and led the Packers to a 13-3 record. Then came the infamous 2019 Conference Championship game.
Aired out downfield and picked. Richard Sherman gets his.
The Packers lost 37-20. Rodgers was tired of losing in the playoffs. He was making some more buzz in this year's offseason, but most people expected him to stay in Green Bay. But then came the 2020 NFL Draft. The Packers had the 26th pick. Everyone was expecting the Packers to take someone who would help them contend. Instead, they selected Jordan Love, a quarterback. The Packers were already looking for a long-term replacement for Rodgers. At this point, Rodgers was ticked off by his team's management. It seemed as though the Packers gave up on him, but he had to move forward and continue to try pushing for a championship next season. 2020 was the best season in Aaron Rodgers' career. He won his 3rd MVP, and the Packers were one of the favorites to make a push at the Super Bowl. In the conference championship, the Packers found themselves playing the Buccaneers. I'm sure this game is still fresh on most people's minds.
Brady goes for the deep shot. He's got a touchdown! Scotty Miller. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady are going to Super Bowl 55.
This was the Packers' best chance at making a Super Bowl, but they blew it. Now, everyone was talking about the potential of Rodgers leaving. This time, it seemed inevitable. He was extremely upset with his team's management over the past few years, and there were a multitude of teams that could have used Rodgers. But instead, he stayed in Green Bay. He felt like the Packers could really contend if they just put it all together. When people thought that this might be the year that Rodgers would start declining, he won another MVP. He proved everyone wrong. But at this point, all he wanted was a championship. In the divisional round, the Packers played the 49ers once again. This was one of the weirdest playoff games I've ever seen. In a low-scoring game, the 49ers made the defining plays when it mattered most, and the Packers couldn't find any offensive rhythm. It was over. Another playoff failure for the Packers. And once again, almost everyone predicted Rodgers would leave. It seemed like there was a high possibility that Rodgers would go to Denver, especially when they hired Nathaniel Hackett. Instead, the Broncos gave up their entire future for Russell Wilson. This left Rodgers in no man's land, but the worst was yet to come.
Stages, the Packers are going to trade their superstar receiver Davante Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Now what? When everyone predicted that Rodgers would leave, the Packers traded Davante Adams. It was supposed to be Rodgers who left, but instead, it was his best offensive weapon who said he was done with the team. Rodgers stayed in Green Bay through all of this. And then came this past season. It started off terribly, but the Packers made a comeback. However, they lost in Week 18 to the Lions, and they missed the playoffs for the first time since 2018. At this point, Rodgers couldn't take it anymore. It seemed like the Packers lost their patience with Rodgers, and Rodgers lost his patience with the Packers. So finally, he was traded. So that's where we are today. Aaron Rodgers is now a New York Jet. And to be honest with you all, this entire video up to this point was recorded months ago when I thought Aaron Rodgers was going to get traded. So this entire offseason was extremely interesting for Aaron Rodgers. First of all, the trade was rumored a couple of months ago. Then he asked the Jets for a wish list of players, and they weren't able to get all of them. They were able to get Allen Lazard. They couldn't get Odell Beckham. He also went on the Pat McAfee show multiple times and even announced his intentions to play for the Jets on the Pat McAfee show. But it wasn't until right before the draft that he was actually traded, which was super interesting. I really didn't expect it to go down like this, even though Aaron Rodgers is known to bringing a lot of drama to his name. But this year and really the next few years for Aaron Rodgers are going to be really important for his legacy. We'll have to see if we will come back and view him as the guy who never won as much as he possibly could have, or the guy who came in and saved the Jets franchise and got multiple rings. But as for his career so far, he's been incredible. He's proved the doubters wrong time and time again. And honestly, I'm betting on him in New York.
What are you going to do with your life? I said, I'm going to play in the NFL. She said, no way in hell.
No way in hell.
You won't make it. You'll get hurt. You'll never make it. Whoa. You will need your education and you will never make it. And what I've seen from you is you won't amount to anything.
Oh my God.
And I said, watch me.